What if the word tomorrow was not a promise but a warning? What if God is giving you one final window to prepare, adjust, and realign everything in your life before something irreversible unfolds? Right now, many people feel an unexplainable pressure, a spiritual urgency they can't name, a sense that time is accelerating and something decisive is approaching. You may feel it in your thoughts, your restlessness at night, or the sudden conviction to fix what you've been postponing. This message is not about fear, it's about clarity. Knowing what tomorrow holds changes how you act today. It shifts your priorities, exposes what no longer belongs in your life, and gives you the chance to move with intention instead of regret. If God already spoke tomorrow, the real question is not when it happens, but whether you are ready for it when it arrives. Have you ever asked yourself why certain doors feel like they're closing while others demand immediate action? Why old habits suddenly feel heavy and unfinished matters refuse to stay quiet? Tomorrow doesn't arrive randomly. It reveals what was prepared in silence. This video will help you understand what that word truly means, what signs to pay attention to right now, and what needs to be put in order before time runs out. Ignoring tomorrow creates loss, but understanding it creates alignment, protection, and purpose. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear may explain the urgency you've been feeling and show you exactly what must be done now, before tomorrow turns into a moment you can't undo. Before we go any further, make sure you are truly connected to this message. Like this video, so it reaches more people who need this warning. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what God is revealing in this season. And stay with me until the end, because what comes next may confirm exactly why you felt prompted to click on this video today. Tomorrow. That single word carries more weight than most people realize, because tomorrow is never just about time, it is about consequence. When God speaks tomorrow, it is not a casual suggestion or a distant idea. It is a signal that something already set in motion is about to surface. Many people feel this before they understand it. A pressure in the chest, a strange restlessness, a sense that delaying things now feels more dangerous than ever before. This happens because tomorrow exposes what today is hiding. Every unfinished decision, every ignored conviction, every habit you promised you would change, later begins to demand attention at the same time. Tomorrow does not negotiate, it reveals. And that is why this message matters. If you feel an inner urgency, it is not fear trying to control you, it is alignment trying to position you. God often speaks to the chosen through pressure, not to crush them, but to move them. Comfort becomes uncomfortable when it is time to shift. And if you feel like neutrality is no longer an option, it's because tomorrow is closer than it appears. As you listen, pay attention to what thoughts keep repeating in your mind. Repetition is one of the clearest ways God highlights what must be addressed. What keeps coming back to you right now is connected to what must be arranged before tomorrow arrives. Do not ignore that pull. Stay with this message, because each moment builds on the last, and by the end, you will understand why this warning reached you now and not later. There is a reason "I'll deal with it later" suddenly stopped working in your life. Later has an expiration date, and many people never notice when it quietly passes. Tomorrow is the dividing line between preparation and consequence. When God says to arrange everything, He is not talking only about physical order. This is about emotional alignment, spiritual clarity, relational honesty, and internal discipline. Think about what you have been avoiding, a conversation you refuse to have, a decision you keep delaying, a truth you keep negotiating with. Tomorrow magnifies whatever remains unresolved today. This is why anxiety can rise without an obvious cause. The soul recognizes timing before the mind does. And if you feel this pressure, it does not mean something bad is guaranteed. It means something significant is approaching. Order creates protection. Disorder creates exposure. This principle operates quietly, but it never fails. When life shifts suddenly, only what is stable remains standing. God does not warn the chosen to burden them, but to position them ahead of the shift. Urgency is not punishment, it is favor. It means you are given awareness while others are still distracted. And awareness is the greatest advantage before tomorrow arrives. Tomorrow often comes disguised as opportunity or consequence, but rarely announces which one it will be. That depends entirely on preparation. This is why two people can experience the same moment and walk away with completely different outcomes. One prepared, the other postponed. One aligned, the other distracted. The chosen are not exempt from change. They are equipped for it. But equipment unused is wasted. God's warning is not loud, it is precise. It reaches those who are listening beneath the noise. If your life feels like it is being gently but firmly pushed forward, it is because stagnation is no longer permitted. There are seasons where waiting is obedience, but there are also seasons where waiting becomes disobedience. Tomorrow marks the transition between those seasons. What you delay today becomes heavier tomorrow. What you confront today becomes lighter when tomorrow arrives. This is why clarity feels uncomfortable at first. It removes excuses. It removes ambiguity. It forces choice. And choice is powerful, but it is also revealing. As this message continues, you will begin to see exactly where action is required and why ignoring it now would cost far more later. Many people misunderstand God's timing because they assume silence means delay. But silence often means preparation is happening beneath the surface. Tomorrow is rarely sudden in the spiritual realm. It is only sudden to those who were not paying attention. Signs always come first. A loss of peace in certain environments, a growing dissatisfaction with old habits, a sense that certain relationships no longer fit. These are not random emotions, they are indicators. God removes comfort before he removes access. He disrupts before he redirects. And when he says tomorrow, it means the window to adjust is still open, but not for long. This is the mercy hidden inside urgency. You still have time, but you no longer have unlimited time. That distinction changes everything. Tomorrow will not ask if you are ready. It will simply arrive and respond to what you prepared. And preparation is not perfection. It is honesty. It is willingness. It is obedience in motion, not intention alone. If you have felt called to clean up loose ends, this is not coincidence. Loose ends become traps when seasons change. What you ignore has a way of resurfacing at the worst possible moment. Tomorrow exposes alignment or lack of it. This is why procrastination feels heavier now than it used to. The cost has increased. The margin has narrowed. God is not rushing you, but he is focusing you. Focus removes distraction, and distraction is the enemy of preparation. Ask yourself what keeps pulling at your attention lately. What keeps surfacing in moments of silence? These are not random thoughts. They are instructions waiting for obedience. Tomorrow does not create consequences, it reveals them. And the beautiful truth is that revelation can still lead to correction if action follows quickly. This is why staying with this message matters. Each layer builds clarity, and clarity produces movement. Some people fear tomorrow because they associate it with loss. Others are excited because they sense breakthrough. The difference between fear and expectation is preparation. Tomorrow is neutral. It responds to alignment. God's warning is not meant to terrify you, but to awaken you. Awakening always feels disruptive at first. It shakes routines, it questions patterns, it challenges comfort, but it also unlocks growth. The chosen are often uncomfortable right before expansion. If you feel stretched, unsettled, or restless, it may be because you are standing on the edge of transition. Tomorrow is not punishment, it is progression. But progression demands participation. Passive faith delays outcomes. Active obedience accelerates them. This is where many miss their moment. They hear the warning, but do not move. Do not let that be your story. As tomorrow approaches, clarity becomes sharper. What once felt optional now feels essential. What once felt harmless now feels heavy. This is discernment increasing. God refines focus before he releases change. Pay attention to what drains you versus what strengthens you. Tomorrow will amplify whichever you choose to carry forward. This is not about doing everything at once, but about doing the right things now. Alignment is built one decision at a time. Small acts of obedience compound quickly when timing is critical. The reason this message is unfolding slowly is because understanding creates commitment. And commitment is what holds when pressure rises. Tomorrow tests what today built. Stay present, because the next part will show you exactly how to respond to this warning in a way that positions you for protection instead of regret. You were not brought here by accident. Messages like this reach those already being prepared. Tomorrow is closer than it feels, but so is the strength you need to face it. God does not warn without provision. He does not alert without empowering. What feels heavy now will feel purposeful once order is restored. But restoration begins with awareness. Awareness leads to action. Action leads to alignment, and alignment changes outcomes. As you continue listening, allow this message to challenge what needs to move, release what no longer fits, and strengthen what must remain. Tomorrow is coming. The only question left is what version of you will meet it. Tomorrow does not ask for permission. It arrives according to what was already decided in the unseen. This is why awareness feels heavier now than it did before. When God highlights timing, he is also highlighting responsibility. What you know now makes you accountable to move differently. This is why ignorance once felt easier, because it required nothing. But awareness demands response, and the chosen are always called to respond before others understand what is happening. If you feel separated lately, misunderstood, or out of sync with people around you, it is because preparation often isolates before it elevates. God pulls you inward before he moves you forward. Silence becomes necessary. Distractions lose their appeal. The noise that once entertained now irritates. This is not boredom, it is refinement. Tomorrow requires a different version of you than yesterday did. And that version is being shaped right now, whether you cooperate or resist. Resistance creates friction. Cooperation creates flow. The pressure you feel is not meant to break you, it is meant to focus you. When light intensifies, shadows become clearer. This is why flaws, weaknesses, and unresolved patterns suddenly stand out. They were always there, but tomorrow forces visibility. God does not expose to shame, he exposes to heal. But healing requires participation. What you acknowledge now can be transformed before tomorrow arrives. Many people wait for certainty before they act, but certainty often comes after obedience, not before. Tomorrow does not wait for you to feel ready, it waits for you to decide. Decision activates movement. Movement invites clarity. This is why hesitation feels costly right now. The season you are in is sensitive to delay. Small postponements now create larger obstacles later. God's warnings are not emotional, they are strategic. When he says, arrange everything, he is inviting you to remove anything that will slow you down once momentum begins. Excess becomes dangerous in transition. Emotional clutter, mental clutter, relational clutter, spiritual clutter. All of it adds weight. And weight determines speed. Tomorrow moves quickly. This is why simplicity becomes powerful. Fewer distractions, fewer divided loyalties, fewer unresolved attachments. Letting go is not loss when it creates capacity. What you release now makes room for what tomorrow brings. Holding on to what is familiar can cost you what is next. If you have been feeling compelled to revisit old decisions, this is not regression, it is correction. God often sends review before release. What was decided hastily may need realignment, what was ignored may need closure. Tomorrow is honest. It does not allow things to remain hidden. This is why forgiveness becomes urgent. Unresolved resentment ties you to the past. Tomorrow requires freedom of movement. You cannot walk forward while dragging yesterday behind you. This is not about denying pain. It is about refusing to carry it into a new season. Closure is a form of preparation, and preparation is a form of faith. Faith is not passive belief. It is active alignment. You align your actions with what you believe is coming. If you truly believe tomorrow matters, your behavior today will reflect that belief. This is where integrity is tested. What you do in private reveals what you truly expect. Tomorrow also tests priorities. What you invest in now determines what multiplies later. Time, energy, attention, discipline. These are currencies, and tomorrow rewards how they were spent. This is why certain habits feel uncomfortable now. They no longer align with where you are going. Comfort can become a warning sign when it keeps you stagnant. Growth often feels inconvenient. But inconvenience now prevents chaos later. God rearranges desires before he rearranges circumstances. If your desires are shifting, trust that process. Desire directs action. Action creates outcome. Tomorrow responds to outcome, not intention. This is why excuses lose their power in this season. You either move or you don't. Neutrality is still a choice, and it carries consequences. There is a spiritual law at work here. Whatever is out of order will demand attention under pressure. Tomorrow increases pressure. Not to punish, but to reveal structure. What is built on truth holds. What is built on avoidance collapses. This is why truth feels sharper now. You see things you once overlooked. You sense motives more clearly. Discernment increases before transition. God sharpens perception so you can navigate what is coming without confusion. Confusion wastes time, and time is the one thing tomorrow does not give back. If something feels off, do not ignore it. Discomfort is often instruction in disguise. Peace follows obedience, not avoidance. Some people think preparation means fear, but preparation is actually confidence in motion. You prepare because you expect something meaningful to happen. You prepare because you value what is coming. Tomorrow holds weight because it carries purpose. God does nothing randomly. If He warned you, it is because you matter in what is about to unfold. The chosen are not spectators, they are participants. But participation requires readiness. Readiness is built in hidden moments, quiet decisions, unseen discipline. This is why this message is unfolding slowly, to allow conviction to take root. Shallow understanding produces temporary change. Deep understanding produces lasting alignment. Let this sink in. Let it challenge you. Let it refine you. As tomorrow approaches, distractions will increase. This is not coincidence. Distraction is the enemy's favorite tool before breakthrough. It pulls focus away from what matters. Be intentional with your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, outcomes form. Guard your focus. Not everything deserves access to you right now. Selectivity is not arrogance, it is stewardship. God trusts you with insight, but insight must be protected. Share selectively, move quietly, prepare thoroughly. Tomorrow does not require announcement, it requires readiness. There is a peace that comes when order is restored. Even before circumstances change, alignment brings calm. If you feel moments of peace breaking through the pressure, that is confirmation. You are moving in the right direction. Peace does not mean absence of challenge, it means presence of clarity. Clarity simplifies decisions. Decisions accelerate movement. Movement positions you correctly when tomorrow arrives. You do not need to know every detail. You need to obey the next instruction. God reveals steps as you move, not before. Trust builds through action. Stay with this message because what comes next will bring practical clarity to what must be arranged, what must be released, and what must be strengthened right now. Tomorrow is not something to fear. It is something to meet prepared. And preparation is happening now in this moment through awareness, conviction, and choice. What you do after this message matters. What you decide next matters. Tomorrow is closer than you think, but so is the breakthrough waiting on your obedience. Tomorrow does not begin when the sun rises. It begins the moment awareness reaches you. That is the part most people miss. The shift already started the instant this message connected with you. God does not wait for clocks. He works through readiness. This is why hearing certain words at the right moment can feel heavier than an entire conversation. Something inside you already knows this is not ordinary information. It is instruction, and instruction always carries expectation. If nothing were required of you, there would be no urgency attached to it. The reason this message feels personal is because preparation is personal. No one else can organize your inner world for you. No one else can confront your avoided decisions, reorder your priorities, or realign your obedience. Tomorrow will respond to what you personally chose to address today. That is both sobering and empowering. Sobering because avoidance has consequences. Empowering because action still changes outcomes. You are not behind, but you are being asked to move. Delay now would cost more than delay ever has before. That alone tells you the season has changed. One of the clearest signs that tomorrow is near is when old strategies stop working. What once brought comfort no longer satisfies. What once distracted no longer numbs. What once felt manageable now feels heavy. This is not failure, it is upgrade. God disables coping mechanisms before He releases clarity. He removes substitutes so you can no longer confuse comfort with purpose. If you have felt exposed lately, emotionally or spiritually, It is because coverings are being removed. Tomorrow requires authenticity. You cannot step into what is next while pretending in what is now. Masks become exhausting right before they fall. This is why honesty feels urgent. Honest prayers, honest conversations, honest self-evaluation. God works with truth, not image. And the truth, once acknowledged, becomes the foundation that holds when pressure increases. Tomorrow does not reward performance, it responds to alignment. There is also a reason certain people drift away during seasons like this. Preparation often includes separation. Not everyone can go where you are going, and not everyone should. This is not rejection, it is protection. God reduces noise, so instruction can be heard clearly. If you have experienced unexpected distance, misunderstandings, or emotional detachment, do not rush to fill the gap. Sometimes space is intentional. Tomorrow requires focus, and focus requires fewer voices. The opinions that once influenced you may now confuse you. Trust the discomfort. It is guiding you away from dependency and toward discernment. You are being taught to recognize God's voice above all others. That ability will matter deeply when tomorrow arrives and quick decisions are required. As preparation deepens, you may notice time feels different. Days move faster, yet moments feel heavier. This is because significance compresses time. When something meaningful approaches, the soul accelerates before the calendar does. This is why small moments now carry weight. A thought, a conversation, a decision that seems minor but lingers afterward. Nothing is random in this phase. God speaks through patterns. Pay attention to what repeats. Repeated thoughts, repeated themes, repeated confirmations. They are forming a path. Tomorrow is not chaos, it is convergence. Everything you are noticing now is aligning toward a single direction. Your responsibility is not to understand everything, but to respond to what is clear. Many people wait for a dramatic sign before they move, but God often uses subtle conviction instead. Loud signs impress, but quiet conviction transforms. If you feel nudged rather than pushed, that is intentional. Obedience chosen freely builds strength. Tomorrow will test strength, not excitement. Emotional motivation fades quickly. Conviction remains. This is why God prepares internally before he shifts externally. If your inner world is stable, the outer change will not shake you. But if your inner world is chaotic, even a blessing can feel overwhelming. Order now prevents overload later. That is why arranging everything is not optional, it is strategic. Tomorrow also reveals identity. Pressure exposes who you truly are, not who you claim to be. This is why God refines character before opportunity. Opportunity magnifies whatever it touches. If fear is present, it will multiply. If discipline is present, it will multiply. If integrity is present, it will multiply. Tomorrow multiplies seeds planted today. This is why small daily choices matter more now than ever before. What you tolerate today becomes what you manage tomorrow. What you confront today becomes what no longer controls you tomorrow. You are not being asked to be perfect, you are being asked to be intentional. There is a temptation in seasons like this to rush, to panic, to try to fix everything at once. That is not preparation, that is reaction. God's pace is calm even when his timing is urgent. Calm does not mean passive, it means focused. One step at a time, one conversation, one decision, one act of obedience. Momentum builds quietly before it becomes visible. Trust the process. Trust the order. Tomorrow does not require you to be frantic, it requires you to be faithful. Faithfulness is consistency under pressure. And consistency is what carries you through transition without collapse. If you are wondering how you will know when you are ready, the answer is simple. Readiness brings peace, even before results appear. Not comfort, but peace. Peace that comes from knowing nothing important is being ignored. Peace that comes from alignment, not certainty. You may still have questions, but you will no longer feel avoidance. Avoidance creates anxiety. Alignment creates steadiness. That steadiness is what tomorrow responds to. When change comes, you will not scramble, you will move. And movement is evidence of preparation. Everything you are feeling right now is connected to what is coming next. Nothing is wasted. Not the discomfort, not the pressure, not the urgency. It is all shaping you. Tomorrow is not meant to catch you off guard. It is meant to meet you ready. And readiness is being built right now through awareness, obedience, and courage. Stay attentive, stay willing, stay aligned. Because tomorrow is closer than it appears, and how you meet it will determine what it releases into your life. As you reach this moment, understand this clearly. Tomorrow is no longer a mystery. It is a responsibility. Everything you have heard was not meant to inform you, but to position you. God does not send warnings without intention, and He does not call the chosen without preparation. If this message resonated deeply, it is because something in you is already shifting. Awareness has been activated, and with it comes the opportunity to respond wisely. Tomorrow will meet you exactly where you decided to stand today. Not where you hoped to be, not where you intended to move eventually, but where your actions placed you. Order brings peace, alignment brings protection, obedience brings clarity. You are not being rushed, but you are being invited to move with purpose. What you arrange now will determine how tomorrow unfolds. Let go of what no longer fits, confront what you've avoided, and strengthen what must carry you forward. This is not about fear, it is about readiness, and readiness changes everything. If this message spoke directly to you, don't ignore that confirmation. Like this video so it reaches others who are feeling the same urgency. Subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to what God is revealing in this season. And share this message with someone who needs to prepare before tomorrow arrives. Stay attentive, stay aligned, and remember, what you do next matters more than you realize.